because 95% of all e-commerce people, they only think about e-commerce. It's like, okay, what other websites can we list on? What other, Google ads or paid traffic can we do? What other things can we do with social media? But if you can sort of cheat the system by doing an in-person event and getting your product in front of people, your competitors are going to be like, where are they getting this extra traffic? Like, I'm paying as much as I can. Where are they getting the sales? So I actually think, taking taking it out of digital and going into real world is probably a pretty good hack for a lot of companies to really significantly increase sales and at the same time engage with your audience.
Favorite things. And this doesn't sound like it's that big of a deal, but I have a great friend who's an educator and a coach, and he's a big advocate of bringing your products to the people. So he's got clients who are brands on Amazon, and he does events in person with people that feature the product. And so that's not like a huge audience, but it gets people's hands on the product. It gets them talking about it, and it lets you know if there's anything wrong with it at the front end before you send a whole bunch into Amazon or you send a whole bunch, out there into the world. And another great idea, I did an event in Los Angeles in January, and this wonderful woman, Bridget Young from the Modern Muse Company, talked about finding places in your community where you can donate your items to showcase them and create a buzz locally before you go like into the next town and into the next town. That's really kind of a grassroots kind of way of marketing, but I really love that idea. I love the idea of, I think her example was, if you've got this really great tactical flashlight, right? So you want to donate it to the guys and the guys and gals that are first responders, or you want to do a raffle at the local dry cleaner for this reusable dry cleaner bag or something like that. I mean, there are opportunities locally where you can get your product into people's hands, find out what they think of them, sort of generate a local buzz, and then go out from there. And I've actually seen that work really well, especially with people that live around me. I live in a pretty entrepreneurial place, but I think that's really cool, and it's not something most people would think of because they think that, oh, that's a waste of time and that's not reaching enough people. But it's one of the best things you can do to actually watch people interact with your products.
This would be, let's say, for a business that sells to, let's say, millennials or college students. I'm just going to say that's a particular demographic of the student. One of the things that you can do is, as a college student, one of the things that I always see is that, students always need stuff, especially when they're away from home, is coming up with and it's going to be a cost to this, but it could be a way to spread your brand, whatever the brand is, coming up with some type of little care package for students. I mean, you can think about the quantity, you can think about the distribution of that, but a particular care package for students where the product that you sell doesn't necessarily have to be part of that. You can maybe have a promotion around that or promotion in it, but just simply the fact that you thought about them. You could just say, you're a local business, we do business in the area. Wanted to say thank you for coming to our city, becoming a student here, and go to our website. We've got a maybe special offer just for students, something like that. That's just something that I thought about. As we're here in the U.S., everybody's going back to school, so that was kind of on the top of my head. So kind of getting people offline, getting them into your online ecosystem, because these days you got to be creative. You got to mix it up, because everyone is bombarded, but with so many different things via social media, online, and on the web. So I think kind of a mix of the online to the offline. The offline to the online. I think it would be a kind of a unique spin on it.
What kind of events they were sponsoring? Like, what would
sports events? Basically, any event that. If there was a day where people could donate blood, there was always the sponsored by Study Drive. They put flyers on the inside of the toilet cabins. So if you take a break, then you can read through it, and you're like, oh, that's actually pretty nice. I could get notes from the previous semester, whatever. So they put out flyers and posters everywhere. Basically, you could see their logo everywhere. So it was so deeply branded into your brain that you automatically went to that website. And who also did a really good job was Red Bull. I mean, of course, they're not an e-commerce company, but they sponsored all of the sports events like big time. They gave out free Red Bull all day. They had their banner everywhere. They built up like this little fun park for people to participate. And they were also like, yeah, share your story from this event. You will be featured on our Instagram, which people love, obviously, because everyone loves attention. So yeah, they also did a pretty good job.
Events is usually something I wouldn't do too much of just to sell one specific product. Again, I would go with the soft sell. So first of all, I would target an audience. So if it is university and loads of university, we know that university students buy tons of headsets. They use it all the time, which they do. And in this day and age, they need these headsets, and they probably want loads of Bluetooth ones, right? So the new product will be a Bluetooth version of this, for instance. The way I would go about it is not necessarily to talk about the headset. I would go to a university and talk about the industry I work in. I'd start to talk about entrepreneurship, and time management, being effective, efficient, etc., all that type of stuff. And then also embed your personal story into this as well. So it's talking about, okay, so this is my story. This is how I started. I had no money, and then I started this business, that business, and I ended up getting into the headphones business. And this is the product that I produced. This is how many I've sold so far, and we're selling in 10 different countries. If you want to check it out, go check it out. And then obviously go back to the topic. And by that time, you've dropped in your product. And there might not be a high chance of them buying the product, but then if you can show them and say, look, if you want a demonstration or example of what actually works, check out my website and have a look at an example of something that actually works. And by the way, these headphones are awesome because everybody's bloody using them. And, all these YouTubers are using them, and all these influencers on Instagram are using them, and all these guys on Facebook video are using them. They're really good. So check it out. If you want a pair, go get some. I'll give you 10% off just for coming to this event. But going back to the topic, let's talk about how we can improve the amount of work you get done in a day. And that's how I would go about it. But first of all, most importantly, make sure the target audience, the people who you're speaking to, are the right people for you. And you can always tailor it in very specific ways. And I think that's the best way to go about doing that. And I would always go back to the soft sell, not do the hard sell, not be there to talk about the product and how wonderful and how great it is. There is a way to do it, but in my personal opinion, it's really hard to do that to a massive audience, especially for just like one set or two sets of headphones. You want to make sure you add extreme value to your audience, and then they would listen and engage with you. So that's what I think.
In hosting events. So in my perspective, I would want to host an event maybe digitally, because to host an event physically, I don't feel like you may be able to get a large enough audience to offset all the time and effort that it takes to plan the event, unless you're, a big, well-known brand name or you have a connection to, be part of an event that is going to drive a lot of traffic. My suggestion would be to host a digital event, and maybe it could be an event if you're in the healthcare space with vitamins and things like that. Maybe you host a wellness event and you find ways to engage the customer base. And so you're doing live video streaming and you're interviewing somebody that recently lost a lot of weight and became very healthy, and you're asking them different questions about how they got started, and then you're having other customers ask them questions, and you kind of build an event like that could be really meaningful to somebody that is trying to start using the vitamins or different healthcare type items where it's really going to resonate with them. Or it could be an event where you sell birthday party supplies and you host an event where you're going to interview a couple different planners and designers, and they're going to show you how to really easily put together a birthday party where you're not going to pull your hair out, you're not going to spend a lot of money, and your children are going to have a great time. I think that could be something that's really fun and interesting. And then if you think about that, now you've also got content that you can put on your blog, that you can put on your social media feed, that you can take snippets of and put it on Instagram. It can be on YouTube. So then not only are you hosting the event, you're recording it, and now you're leveraging it as content in all of your different channels.
Yeah, so one really good example is we worked with a company, so TableMate and Modern Muse Company does partnership marketing. And so Bridget Young, who runs Modern Muse, said there's this great event. It's a family fun day in Southern California, and we have a product called Kids TableMate. So it's a really good fit. There's going to be tons of mom and tons of kids at this event, and they had like an arts and crafts tent where kids would come and do arts and crafts. So what we did is we donated product to the event so that people could use it there and see the product in use. And then we had flyers and inserts for everybody who attended. And we did a raffle at the event. So they had a raffle. So we donated a couple of products for raffle. So basically gift in kind for use. The flyers so people could find out, about the product, and then raffles. And just from that one day event, with minimal marketing expense, minimal product expense, no staff on hand, we did $7,000 in sales that week just from the additional exposure, on Amazon. And then, also halo effect from the website. So it's incredibly powerful to find companies, find organizations. Like I said, it can be an event, it can be online influencers. In some cases, they can be affiliates as well. Like all of these sort of merge and overlap. It's not like they're completely distinct. But if you can find where your audience is, where they gather in mass, then you have the ability to really do a successful launch. And it starts with having a really good product that people want or need.